As you should know by now, I'm a sucker for anything about classic Hollywood. The more time that passes, the more we learn about that crazy, messed up, but incredibly creative time and place. When Ryan Murphy's 7-part series Hollywood turned up on Netflix, there wasn't any way I wasn't going to watch it. The setup for this one is pretty simple. In post-war Hollywood, a diverse group of writers, actors and directors try to get movies made.
Dreamland.
I want to go to Dreamland.
You get in the car with them, have a drink maybe. And sometimes you have to service.
This series combines historical figures with fictional characters. We get Rock Hudson, Anna May Wong, and Hattie McDaniel. We get a couple of cameos by Cole Porter, George Cukor, Noel Coward, Vivian Lee, Tallulah Bankhead. We also get the notorious and predatory agent Henry Wilson turning up, played by Jim Parsons. In real life, Henry Wilson discovered a lot of stars: Lana Turner, Rock Hudson, Doug McClure, Robert Wagner and Tab Hunter. Yes, we've seen fictionalized Hollywood before, but this time around it's a bit different. This time around we get a racially mixed, gender mixed and sexuality mixed group of people trying to make it in Tinseltown. Director Raymond Ainsley, played by Darren Criss, is half Filipino like the actor is. Writer Archie Coleman, played by Jeremy Pope, is a gay black man. Actress Camille Washington, played by Laura Harrier, is black as well. Actor Jack Castello, played by David Corenswet, is straight, but he's also a sex worker who has a liaison with Patti LuPone's character Avis Amberg, who is the wife of Ace Amberg, played by Rob Reiner, who's the head of the studio. There's a really interesting depth of Hollywood history here, with fiction mixing with fact. Dylan McDermott's suave Ernie West runs a gas station on Hollywood Boulevard, which is also run as a kind of drive-through brothel, which parallels something that happened in real life with Scotty Bowers, a guy who actually ran a sex ring from a garage on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Van Nuys in California, but in the 1940s and 1950s. In fact, it's all in Scotty's book, Full Service, which I have a copy of, which gives you some really interesting insights into the actors, directors, and other creative people in classic Hollywood. I recommend Scotty's book because it's a good read. Many people have criticised Hollywood, the series, and I kind of agree with some of it. Some of the acting's a little weaker than it could be, but there's also some incredibly strong acting. I think some of the writing needed to be sharpened up a little bit, but I think the plot lines that run through it are really interesting and grab me all the way through. Jim Parsons Wilson is predatory, manipulative, and a nasty piece of work, but it does get him out of that stereotype that he got from Big Bang Theory. I think his future as a character actor is pretty much assured by this. I really liked the character while I hated it. Patti LuPone, who was a Broadway star for many, many years, really does have an interesting arc in this one as well. She finds her own agency, she finds her own strength, her own skills, and she uses them to get what she wants eventually. We also get Holland Taylor playing Ellen Kincaid, a studio executive who is always the smartest person in the room. Her character's personal and professional arcs, again, are really interesting. Ellen's intelligent, sharp, and also vulnerable, and Holland Taylor reminds us of how good an actor she is. This is probably my favourite role in the whole series. Most of the criticism of Hollywood comes in the form of the 7th and last episode, the Hollywood ending, which rewrites Hollywood history in a really fascinating and bold way. Hollywood the series is science fiction. It's an alternate universe. It's a what if, in the same way that Man in the High Castle is, or the recent spy series Counterpart, or The Plot Against America. It's not set in our universe. What if a group of marginalised people in the 1940s Hollywood find their best selves and make the film industry a more inclusive and accepting place? What if there was a major Hollywood film in the 1940s that starred a woman of colour? There were actors who could do it at the time. There was Lena Horne, Diane Carroll in the early 50s, Dorothy Dandridge. None of them got the opportunities that they earned because of their race. There are also other what ifs in there. What if a woman ran a major Hollywood studio in the 1940s? How would that change things? And we get to see that in this series. What if a gay black man became a screenwriter in Hollywood and told the world he was gay and that he was in a relationship with a Hollywood star? What if society as a whole became a better place for minorities 70 or 80 years before it did in our world? And of course it was still on that path. But what if it started that much earlier because of some changes in Hollywood? Now this goes contrary to a lot of the narratives in a lot of the movies and TV series that we've seen now. People love dystopias. Television and movies are full of dystopic scenarios which are really easy to put an action adventure kind of format in. We've got Handmaid's Tale on one side, we've got Westworld, we had Dollhouse, we have a whole bunch of things. The Road, all the way back to post-World War II movies like On the Beach and Panic in Year Zero. Audiences and movie makers love dystopia. They love those worst case scenarios, whether it's asteroids or Nazis, artificial intelligence or religious extremism. They love that stuff. Hollywood the series does something different. It flips that narrative. It gives us an unashamedly utopian vision of Hollywood. And that's kind of interesting. I think that's worth supporting, and it's worth appreciating, and it's worth acknowledging. It's nice to see a series that gives us a world of hope rather than misery. The series is far from perfect, but it chooses a different direction. And that's okay with me. It says a lot of things that need to be said. It says our culture is richer when we embrace inclusion. It says that sex work should be no more vilified than any other kind of work. It says that hatred and greed are unacceptable. And I like that. It's a nice change. So what you should do is check out the series. It's only 7 episodes, so you can get through it pretty quickly. And let me know what you think about it, because I think it's an interesting experiment. I think it's a far from perfect series, but there's some incredibly strong acting in it. It's got its own vision. It's got something to say. There's also a lot of really good production design, some engaging characters as well. And it mixes humour with tragedy and with, ultimately, a strong, really wide ribbon of optimism. And I like that. It's a nice change. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will be back soon with more reviews. Let me know what you think. If I've earned it, please subscribe. Throw me a few comments if you've seen Hollywood or you're going to see Hollywood and what you think of it. Watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. If you can hear a noise in the background, that's my cat eating. Anyway, in the meantime, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.